Hey guys, it's Nate from the Bike Company. Want to do a quick Ride Concepts Powerline review. I just got done killing a pair of these, and before I head into my new pair, thought I'd share what I really liked about them and what I plan to change on my next setup with them. So overall, the quick review, really liked this shoe. You can see I tend to work in my mountain bike shoes as well, so I did a lot of construction in this shoe, so probably would have lasted me substantially longer if I hadn't been working around the house in it. But I do like to work in my mountain bike shoes because they have a little bit more squish typically, and it takes a lot of load off of your lower back and your legs, so it keeps you a little fresher. It's nice. This shoe with the D3O, in the sole in particular, really caught my eye. These extra impact areas, anything you could do to minimize that impact and minimize that vibration through your body without compromising. I mean, we could all stand on top of pillows and you'd never feel anything, but you'd squish all over the place. This product allows a great balance between comfort and contact control. So this is what initially caught my eye. That it's also laced through the inside of the upper of the inside foot, which is nice for pedal strikes and stuff. This shoe is asymmetrical, so it's taller on your pedal side and shorter over here. Now, the OCD part of me wasn't too sure about that, but once I put the shoes on, I really did fall in love with it. Some other things I really like about this shoe, they say that you should upsize a little bit. I ended up running the same size as I do on a 510, but because it's got a pretty wide toe box on this model, I had plenty of room. I've got Flintstone feet, so if you're like me and maybe you've broken your pinky toes and you're fitting shoes I'm not necessarily fitting length on the big side. I'm trying to fit length on my pinky toe side. This shoe worked really well. I'm actually thinking about going down a half size on my next pair just to see kind of where that's at. It's something that's viable. So if you have Flintstone feet, you're going to like this shoe. If you don't, you're probably going to want to upsize just a little bit. It's just kind of where I'm upsizing to get this. If you're long and your foot actually, you probably are going to have to go up just a little bit. Some other things I really like about this shoe, lace retention. I don't know why every shoe in the world doesn't have lace retention at this point. I've got a bunch of motorcycle kind of casual boots and whatever that don't have them, and you got to triple lace the laces to keep them out of everything. It's just stupid. Brilliant. Just anybody who makes shoes, put this on your shoe. I also really liked the D3O stayed where it belongs. Again, some of my motorcycle shoes, the D3O will actually start to move around and you've got to move it back up to where it should be. Now, it stays where it belongs. It doesn't sound like much of a selling point, but it's nice because it's a pain to try to fish it back up with your fingers, and I've got shoes that do that. So, some things on this shoe that I plan on changing on this other pair. This shoe is... it's not hot, but it's not necessarily a cool shoe either. Now, part of that is because the inner liner is full length, and I think that I may end up trying to trim out a section of this to allow it to breathe a little better on the tongue retention on both sides. And then I may take an awl and poke through some of these holes, make them just slightly bigger. Now, I'm SoCal based. I don't ride in the rain very often, so I'm not dealing with wet shoes all that much, so it's not really an issue to me if it's like, oh, it sucks in a little bit of mist in the morning. So you might think about, before you start cutting your holes in your shoes, what your riding conditions are. The toe is ventilated. It's not the most ventilated toe I've ever had. Upside to that is I don't come home and look like I've been playing in the sandbox at the preschool, where some of my shoes that are super ventilated, you shake sand out of your socks and whatever when you come home. Didn't really find that too much with this shoe. I don't think I'd mess with that. I think I would try to get some of the heat maybe exhausted through the sides. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. Some other stuff on these. I can't really think of anything I really didn't like about this shoe. I wore it doing a lot of construction around the house. I did a lot of trenches. I worked with them fully submerged and had to dry them all the way back out a couple times. They worked fine. They really lasted pretty well. There's maybe a little bit of gap in some of the adhesion zones, but again, I had these things fully underwater dealing with, during a storm, dealing with some water movement stuff. I will say the rubber lasted pretty well. I didn't feel like there was a huge change in personality from the actual rubber. Now, new shoes with the full nubs, they're going to have a lot better traction. So as this shoe aged, I started wondering, is it the rubber? Is it the rubber? Because I've had that happen on a couple pairs of shoes recently. When I turned them over and looked at it, it was like, no, it's because I've been running them flat. So some of the jumper shoes will actually be totally flat, and that's so you can move your foot around, reposition on the pins of your pedals. I'm not doing that, so I really do prefer all the traction I can get with the fresher shoe. Another thing, the D3O in the insole did age. You can see both the gaps that kind of created in the contact points, and then when you push on it, it's just got a little different reaction than the new. Again, I put a lot of hours on these shoes. I don't fault that, and I look forward to having the fresher feel. But this was a real big selling point to me on these shoes, and it definitely works even in the compromised state. I put another pair of insoles in the shoe just to see, and I could still kind of feel where the D3O was even on the old pair. So if you're interested in them, highly recommend them. Great flat pedal shoe. It's a really good trenching shoe. I did some concrete work and I tried to paint, but apparently I paint more on my shoes and clothes than I do on what I'm trying to paint. So, Ride Concept Powerlines. One of the most popular uses for these shoes right now. We're seeing a lot of clients who are looking to either practice their skills, ensure they don't build up bad habits or whatever, but they'll get a set of composite, the inexpensive flat pedals, and a set of shoes, and every once in a while they'll go ride flat pedals just so that they're not cheating too much with their clipless pedals. This is a great shoe for that because it's also something that you can wear around the house, you can wear doing whatever. It doesn't tend to scuff onto surfaces quite as much as some of the other rubber does. I wouldn't necessarily go dragging my heels on your white anything in your house or even your concrete, but I didn't really notice any like scuff marks around my place when I was working on it. So some of the really soft rubber will tend to do that. Oh, these ones didn't, so I did like that. So hopefully you learned something about the Ride Concept Powerline shoes, and if you have any questions, hit us up at bikeco.com.